Welcome to the Easy Peasy Life podcast. I'm your host, Poppy Lee, and this is the space for midlife women who are tired of feeling overwhelmed and ready for life to feel lighter, calmer, and more joyful again. Each week, we'll talk about simple habits, mindset resets, and easy tools that help you feel more in control, one small step at a time. If you're ready for peace, clarity, and your comeback season, you're in the right place. Let's make life, well, easy peasy. Hello, guys. What you doing? How you been? What's going on? It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. Welcome back to the Easy Peasy Life podcast. I'm so excited to have you here today. I am Poppy Lee, and I am from a little poke town called Dripping Springs outside of West Austin. If you continue west, you're going to hit Johnson City. And if you continue west further, you're going to hit Fredericksburg, Texas, the home of over 200 wineries and breweries in the local area. And if you're a fellow wine drinker like I am, cheers to wine and cheers to good coffee. Welcome. Let's take a deep breath in 4 seconds and out for 6 seconds. Welcome. Like I said, I'm hashtag Poppy Lee, and I'm super excited that you're on this Easy Peasy Life podcast. Welcome. Before we get into today's episode, I want to start with something I say from my heart every single morning. So my motto of the day is, each day you have a choice whether to be happy or sad. It's up to you to find the positivity in life, and I hope that I inspire you every single day to do that when you start off your day. If you know someone who could benefit from listening, please share this podcast so you can brighten up their day as well. So welcome. My mission statement is, I will empower women in their midlife to recognize their inner and outer beauty, fostering personal growth and self-confidence every single day of their life. So welcome. And just so you know, the why behind my podcast, yay! I do this because I want to reach midlife mamas everywhere who deserve a life that feels fulfilling, joyful, encouraging, and aligned with the woman God created them to be. So thank you for joining me on this podcast. I want you to know right here, right now, you are not alone in this, and your best years are still unfolding. So welcome. Now let's go and let's jump into today's episode. Let's go. Okay, today's episode, guys and girls and gals and whatever, today's episode actually is finding your confidence again in midlife, even when life knocked the spark out of you. So, today's episode, we're going to start with something as to why confidence feels so different in midlife. Why do we feel so different in midlife? And why does everything feel different now? Now, confidence in midlife is a different beast, totally different. In your 20s, confidence is easy, right? In your 20s, you were like, I'm going to conquer the world. Everything's amazing. I could eat whatever I want. And I'm like, Poppy, if you eat that, you're going to mess up the lining in your stomach when you're 40s and your 50s. That's okay. I'll eat it anyway. No big deal, right? Drop a hell yeah in the comments or a hand in the comments if you guys are like that. If you're like, okay, when I'm in my 20s, I eat whatever, and they said, you're going to regret that later, and I'm going to be like, that's okay, I'll worry about that then. How many times do we say, I'll worry about that then? So in your 20s, your confidence was easy. In your 30s, you said, I'm tired, but I'm still cute. It doesn't matter. I'm good. And in your 40s, you're like, what happened to my 30s? And then when you're in your 50s and you're in your prime and you're almost a retirement age, you're going to be like, oh my God, 50s are different. But in midlife, in your 50s, why did no one tell us it would be like this in our midlife? Why didn't our mamas, our aunts, our older sisters, why didn't anybody tell you, hey, why didn't they tell us in school? Midlife is going to be very, very different for you. You're going to be going crazy. Your hormones are going to be going rogue. Your emotions flip moods when your coffee's cold. You're like, how many times do I have to warm up my coffee? You forget why you walked in a room. Like I'm always saying, you forget what you walked out with, what you walked in with. If I have on my glasses, I'm like, where are my glasses? glasses, right? Or your phone. You're like filming something. I can't find my phone. And your phone is right there in your freaking hands. I've been there. How many of you have been there? I have been there. Amen. But that's the way it is. So let's do a research tip. Fun fact. I'm going to call them a fun fact. Cortisol, which is a stress hormone, cortisol spikes faster in midlife, making your brain more sensitive to stress. You're like, Things that make you go, Remember that song in the 80s? Things that make you go, That's why you're stressed out. That's why you feel different. That's why the things that didn't bother you in your 30s or your 20s or whatever, you have less patience and you're like, oh, stop doing that. Stop chewing like that. Stop snoring like that. Stop moving like that. Stop clicking your pen like that. You do that in your 50s because you're in your midlife, because cortisol spikes faster in midlife. Your stress hormone spikes faster. You don't have as much patience. But that doesn't mean you're weak or you're crazy or your brain is crazy. It means your brain is literally changing. That's why you're snapping faster. You feel overwhelmed more easily and you don't feel like yourself because you're not necessarily yourself anymore. Your body is changing. Love handles don't go away as fast as they did. In my 20s, I could work out. I'm a little flabby. And then all of a sudden you work out and the next day you're tight. But now I have to work out for 2 weeks in order for it to be a little bit tighter, right? Because you're not the same, but it's okay. Because you know what? Part of you is so much better than you were when you were in your 20s and when you were in your 30s. You're so much better. You're more experienced. You're more wise. In a lot of ways, you're happier. It's very stressful in your 20s and 30s because you're raising kids. Your kids are young. You're newly married, whatever. You're trying to find a career. But when you're in your 50s, you're like, I've already done all that. But who am I now? Who is the person that I am now? Let's move on. So let's move on. Why women lose confidence, like the real reasons. Why do they lose confidence in midlife? So let's go deeper. This is not your fault. Just like I said earlier, it's not your fault. Fun fact, 80% of women report a steep drop in confidence in midlife. 80% of women report a steep drop in confidence during midlife. Now, if I had to just guess, I would say a lot of the reasons why we had a lot of confidence in our 20s and 30s and even in our 40s is because we were focused on building our confidence by how we raised our kids, how we made dinner for our family, how we worked hard and made as much money as possible. That's how we built our confidence in 20s and 30s and even our 40s. We relied on so many other people to build our confidence up for us. So if you took your kids to school and you were early, that was a confidence builder. If you volunteered at your kids in your kids' classroom or for the PTA, that was a confidence builder, right? If you put food in the crock pot in the afternoon and the evening, and all of a sudden you prepared early in the morning. You were up at 5 o'clock in the morning and you're like, I'm going to do everything right. I'm going to make sure I make my kids sack lunches. I'm going to make sure everything's ready to go. Their shoes are nicely organized and everything else. I'm a great mom. I'm a great wife. I have confidence because I'm good at what I do. That's what you did in your 20s and 30s and even early 40s or whatever. You built confidence based on everyone else around you and what you did for them. Okay? You were the caretaker, the peacemaker, the emotional anchor, the scheduler, the fixer, the one who keeps everything together. That was you. And that's how you built yourself, and your self-worth was based on what you did for everybody else. But guess what? Not anymore. You have to find the confidence within you now by doing things you enjoy and you love doing. Of course you are tired. You've been doing everybody's job plus your own up into this point, right? So here's another fun fact. Women between the ages of 40 and 60 are most likely to lose their sense of identity because they're living for everyone else. So you continually, between the ages of 40 or 60, you continually lived for everything else. So you really lived for everybody else and based your confidence on everybody else when you're in your 20s, especially 30s, 40s, even 50s, until your 60s, right? So I'm like midway there. I'm 54. So I'm midway. So I'm still trying to figure out, I'm still trying to live for other people. But then I'm like, wait, I'm in midlife and I'm in menopause. And wait, all of a sudden, everybody else starts being more self-sufficient. And all of a sudden you're like, where do I find my self-worth? Where do I find my self-confidence? Like, now I'm transitioning in my 50s, not to mention menopause and everything else and hormones and hot flashes and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, how am I supposed to find myself when I'm going through all this stuff? It's difficult, but I'm telling you, there's a way. You didn't lose your confidence. You lost space for yourself. So quote of the day says, you haven't lost your spark. You've just been busy lighting everybody else's. This is psychological truth and spiritual truth all wrapped up into one. So here's my mirror moment. Let me tell you about a moment, a tiny moment that I had a couple of months ago that hit me harder than any big life event that ever has before. Now this year for me has been really, really difficult, y'all. And I'm sure in midlife, one thing that it's taught me is that instead of focusing on 100% about packing my kids' lunches and making sure they go to school with the correct uniform or whatever it is, now all of a sudden in your 50s, you notice that your kids are already old and grown. They're either in college or they're getting married. They're even having babies and things like that. But this year was hit really hard for me this year. Really hard, like emotionally hard. I went through a situation, and in our age right now, we deal with aging parents. So we deal with decisions having to make. So we switched from raising kids. Now we're basically taking care of our parents. And it's difficult. This year, at the beginning of the year, I spent most of the time. So I'm from originally a city, Edinburgh, McAllen, down in South Texas. And so I had to I live in Dripping Springs outside of West Austin. So to get to the valley, it takes me about 5 hours. And most of the time I go by myself. So I have to make sure that I'm awake and aware of what's going on. I can't leave late, super early in the morning. It's dark, super late at night. It's dark, and then we have deer on the road and stuff. And anyway, so I had to be traveling a lot, probably once every week or 2 weeks down to the valley to go visit my mom, because doing a lot of things for your aging parents is really, really important during this time. And I really encourage you guys and girls and my midlife mamas to really, really find out what your elderly parents want. We were very fortunate to where we could talk to our mom and find out what she wanted in her life and what she wanted to happen before she ended up with dementia, because she ultimately, and I was so terrified that she was, right? I was so terrified that she was going to forget. I was going to come into the room and she was not going to know who I am. And I was so scared of that. But fortunately, God didn't let that happen. Because she and she was okay with it. We weren't okay with it, but she was okay with having, because she broke her hips. She ended up in a nursing home. And so we had somebody staying with her every day there, a friend of the family's. And then we would go constantly all the time. But we were able to spend so much time with my mom. And I traveled back and forth, and it was really, really worth it. But now I thought, oh my gosh, how did I ever do that? Well, you know, when you have to do stuff, especially in midlife, no matter what, you don't think about it. When something's meant to be and God opens up, you have a fork in the road and God opens up an opportunity for you to go down a certain direction, when you know mentally that's something you're supposed to be doing, you automatically do it. It's the weirdest thing. You don't even think about the stress of it. You don't think about how frustrating it is. You don't think about, should I not do it, or should I do it? You just do it. Like I just went. Like I came back and went for a week and a half. I went back over there and then back and forth. So my 2025 was well worth it. Why? A couple of things. One, my mom and I had a motivational podcast called Morning Meeting with Mom. We have over 450 episodes. And she and I did it sometimes by myself, but a lot of times with her. And God put that in my heart. And think about these things, because talk about spending quality time with your kids, but also your aging parents. So important. So important. I have all those episodes that I can go back and listen to my mom, listen to what she talked about, listen to our laughter and our fun times and everything else. Y'all, it's all about the quality time that you spend with the people that you love. Somebody said the other day, it was so funny. They were like, I have never seen a U-Haul in back of a hearse. Never. And it's true. You can pass things down, but you can't take anything with you when you go. You can't. Nothing. Like, you can't take anything with you. So it's important. This year has been really, really difficult. And then after my mom passed, and my sisters and my brother and I were able to spend like the last couple of weeks, even days with her 24/7. We didn't want to leave her side. And it was just amazing, amazing. And then we found out my 21-year-old nephew, 21 years old, has B-cell lymphoma on the outside of his stomach. And I'm like, I told Rick, oh my gosh, like I'm never the type of person where I'm like, I want this year to end. I want 2026 to get here. This year, I'm like that. Call it craziness, hormones, midlife, whatever. I'm just like, I want 2026 to get here. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just want it. Why? Because I started this podcast and I'm so excited to reach out to all of you that I love so much, to be able to just continually keep up with this podcast. I love doing it. I wish I could do it every day. But my son, who is a tech guru, he's like, Mom, you can't do a podcast every day, because you have to give people a chance to be able to watch your replays and stuff. And if you do it every single day, they're just like, they're trying to catch up and they missed half of what you said or whatever, because people are busy. Everybody's busy. He's like, do it 2 times a week, repurpose it, give a little snippet of what's going on. Anyway, so I can always go off on a tangent, but I love doing this podcast for you guys, but mainly for me too, because each one teach one. When I teach you, I teach myself again. I go through the information, tweak it and everything else, and then I teach you, but I'm telling myself this over and over again, because the more you talk to yourself and motivate yourself, the more it goes in your subconscious mind. And then eventually, when you don't think so highly of yourself, your subconscious mind is used to you saying affirmations and all kinds of stuff. And then all of a sudden it kicks in. And so that helps you so much in life. When you listen to good things, good podcasts, good affirmations, good videos, funny videos, cat videos, all kinds of stuff, it ends up so ingrained in your mind. When you have a difficult time come your way, your body goes into like a mode to where it relies on your subconscious mind. So you're like, Papa, you didn't do so well today. Well, my subconscious mind saying, you did amazing. You did amazing. This is good. Everything's good. So all of a sudden you switch gears without even thinking about it. It's wonderful. It's the same way you were raised, which may or may not be wonderful, but the way you were raised, and I've said this again, I'm going to eventually get back to this, but the way you were raised. So your subconscious mind is created in your mind and your body and your brain the first 12 years of your life. So how you were raised, which is why it's really, really important to make sure that you raise your kids mentally and physically up to par. And just, they need to think so highly of themselves, because those first 12 years are crucial to where that sets the pace of how they're going to think about themselves for the rest of their lives, and how they're going to think about treating people and treating a man or a woman, how they're going to be respectful, and how they're going to think negative or positive about money, and what should I do when I make money? Should I donate it, or I keep it for myself and be greedy? Like how they learn everything when they're little is how they're going to treat themselves and everybody else around them, and their thought process through the rest of their life. So just keep that in mind. So anyway, I was walking down the hallway, and like I said, a couple months ago, and I was half awake, half asleep, like, my God. And I had warmed up my coffee, I don't know how many times. So like this morning, Rick had coffee made, and he's like, hey, I drank a lot of coffee. You probably need to make some more. And I'm like, okay. Well, of course I was in a rush, whatever. So I ended up getting the coffee, and I'm like, oh, I got to warm it in the microwave. And then how many of you, raise your hand in the comments, if you warm something in the microwave, especially coffee, and then like you remember it 15 minutes later, and then you have to warm it again. And then you have to warm it again. And then, because I'm like, oh my God, let me just take the coffee, and then you got to set a reminder to take the coffee out of the microwave. I'm like, oh my God, I'm just crazy. But anyway, so a couple months ago, I was passing by the mirror. And something, I don't know what it was. It was just like something where I passed by and I was like, that's interesting. Something made me stop, like not a cute stop, like, ooh, I do like my hair. Like not that kind of stop. Or like my outfit, like, oh, look at my scarf, whatever. It wasn't that kind. It was a kind of stop where you whisper, look at yourself. Like really, really look at yourself. I gotta take this off. So I looked and I passed by the mirror and I was like, look at myself. Like, look at myself. I was standing there and I looked at myself and I was like, that was a version of myself that I didn't recognize. I'm like, you know, where you look and you're like, So, it wasn't like, my eyebrows, like my eyebrows are too far apart. I need to do my makeup again, or my eyeliner's running or whatever. Like it wasn't that kind of look. It was almost like, how do I describe it? Like almost like I didn't recognize her. Like I was like, maybe I'm telling myself my shirt's on backwards, and I'm like, no, it's not on backwards. And even if it was, it wouldn't matter because most of the time I wear shirts like this, and so you can't tell if they're backwards or forwards unless I have a tag back here, which I've done so far. Like how many of y'all, and it's funny, like how many of y'all like, and I know some of my teacher friends have done it because they've done it before. Like how many of y'all get to work and then all of a sudden you're wearing two different shoes? And I know because I've seen some people on like their Facebook profiles, they said, guys, look, I was in a hurry this morning and I have two different shoes on. Now they may be flats and they may be black, but they're two different black flats. I've done that with my flip-flops because I have flip-flops that are black. Flip-flops that are black, but I have like Teva and then I have another different brand. But it's crazy because if you're not careful, you're going to do things you don't realize doing, right? And so I looked at myself in the mirror and I was standing there and I saw a version of myself I didn't recognize. So it wasn't the hair, it wasn't the shirt. It wasn't anything like that. It wasn't my earrings. It wasn't my eyebrows or whatever. I had done them fine. It was the expression on my face. So almost looked like I'm tired. I'm tired. And I knew why, because I knew I'd gone through so much stuff with my mom and now with my nephew and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so tired. And I'm like, Poppy. And I was really hesitant doing another podcast because every time I saw an old podcast, I'd be like, that's something I did with my mom. I did that with my mom. I can't do another podcast or whatever. And I was looking, and I know I was looking at myself in the mirror and I was thinking, where'd you go? Like, come on, Poppy. Like my mom would not, your mom, I'm looking in the mirror. Your mom would not want you just sitting around sulking, not doing anything. She wouldn't. She would say, get off your ass and start doing another podcast. She knew that my heart was in it. She knew that I loved doing it. And when I didn't do it, it made me feel guilty because I knew that was going to be a better version of myself when I did something I really enjoyed. How many of you feel like you need to be doing something in your life? And I'm talking to you. How many of you feel like you need to do something in your life that you love to do, but you're just lazy or you're frustrated or you don't feel like it's the right time? Even if you do something you love to do and it's messy and you make mistakes and you're frustrated and you're like, I could have done it better. That's part of the process, y'all. That is part of the process of you getting better, is starting out doing something now that you want to do. And you're going to get really bad at it. You're going to get real. Look at me. I did a podcast this morning, and half of the video podcast, you couldn't even hear my audio because my damn microphone went off. And I didn't even know it. And I was like all proud talking, and I was, and you couldn't hear anything. And somebody was like, hey, sweetie, I can't hear you. And I'm like, you got to be bad before you're good. But looking at the mirror and my mom, I could hear her talking back to me saying, Poppy, get up, let's go. My mom always had this saying, and she got it from my grandfather, and it was always like, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, don't show up. She always, and so I know she was telling me, your time is now. You better be early. You better be early. You've got to get early, and you got to do things you want to do. And don't be on time because you're going to be late, because it's going to take more minutes than you think it's going to be. And then if you're late, don't do it at all. So don't be late to your calling. Don't be late to your purpose in life. Don't be late for that. So I had the look of exhaustion, emotional emptiness, a look that a woman had show up for everyone, but hadn't shown up for herself in a long, long time. So my 20s and 30s, I'm not going to even say 20s. 20s, my kids were still really, really young. But my 30s and 40s, you still show up for everybody else, but you don't show up for yourself. You don't make space for yourself. So I'm like, where did I go? Where's the confident woman, the joyful woman, the woman with purpose and laughter and spark? Where is she? And I feel like when my mom passed away, I lost all that. Like, I was like, what am I going to do? What purpose do I have now? I'm like, I don't want to do that. My heart is in podcasting, but I don't want to do it because I feel guilty because my mom's not here. But then I thought to myself, what would my mom want me to do? Would she want me to be doing this? So then it hit me. She's not gone. She's not missing. She's not nowhere to be found, AKA she was buried under survival mode, sacrifices, being the strong one for so many reasons and for so many other people. And here's some patterns that kill confidence, okay? And if any of this sounds like you, I want you to say, that's me, in the comments, okay? How many of you do this? You over-apologize. You downplay yourself. You say, I'm fine, when you're overwhelmed. You're feeling guilty for resting, for taking a rest. You feel guilty for that. You avoid the mirror because you don't want to see how miserable you are. You put yourself last all the time. You're shouldering everyone's emotions. You shrink to keep peace, right? Taking care of everyone else except for yourself. So here's a fun fact. Women who constantly overfunction experience a significant drop in self-esteem over time. So when you constantly overfunction for everyone else and you don't give time for yourself, there's a significant amount of self-esteem that drops in your life when you don't take care of yourself. You cannot be the strong one and the neglected one at the same time. You can't take care of yourself that way. Don't be the strong one and the neglected one and expect to rise above it all and move forward in your life. It's not going to happen. So here's another quote. Confidence isn't about being perfect. It's about remembering you were never meant to disappear. So here's 5 ways to get your confidence back. Reconnect with abandoned parts of yourself. Women who reconnect with hobbies that you've had a long time ago, that you reconnect with, have a 33% increase in confidence in an 8-week span. So if you revisit and start doing things you love to do that you used to love to do, like your old hobbies, your confidence in the next couple of weeks will increase a third, or 33%. Another thing is stop apologizing for existing. Like, I'm sorry, I'm doing this, I'm sorry, I'm doing that, I'm sorry for being frustrated, I'm sorry for not being the positive Poppy that I used to be. Women say, get this, women say 8 to 10 times, I'm sorry, every day more than men. We as women apologize 8 to 10 more times than men on a daily basis. So another thing is speak to yourself with compassion. Self-kindness increases your self-confidence within 2 weeks. So I'm challenging you to be kind to yourself and give yourself some grace. And if you do that for the next 2 weeks, your self-confidence boosts up. So stop measuring your worth by productivity. Like I said before, when you were in your 20s and 30s and you were doing things for everybody else, you measured your self-confidence by what kind of room mother you were in your children's school, how well you were able to get your kids to school on time, how well you were able to pack them the best lunch in the cafeteria, to get them up early, to say positive affirmations as you were getting them up in the morning. That's what you measured your self-worth and how confident you were by how you did things for other people. Rest is something you need to take to heart. Rest is not laziness. So you can step back and be like, okay, I'm going to rest for a little bit, because what does that do to you? It repairs you. Rest is a form of repair.
If you're ready for simple ChatGPT prompts that make life easier, grab my free guide at easypeasyprompts.com/busywomensguide. It only takes a minute, and it's made for busy women who want quick wins and less overwhelm.
So also use tools that remind you who you are. Like I use ChatGPT. I've used it 5 times today already. ChatGPT is something that will help you, and it can become your best friend. So I typed into ChatGPT, help me rediscover the strongest version of myself. And because ChatGPT knows me really, really well, I've been talking to ChatGPT for the past year and a half at least. It knows who I am, so it knows what I need. Now, like I told you before, you don't have to be scared of it because you're not giving it your social security number, and it's not asking for it either, or your credit card number, or your license plate, or your driver's license. You're not giving it any information you don't want it to have. So I said, help me rediscover the strongest version of myself by this, and this. And you know what it gave me? So much that I cried, because I was like, okay, I really need this. Like, you're like my best friend. I even thought about naming him or her. I'm assuming it's a her, probably, because I would feel guilty if ChatGPT was a him and then I was talking to him instead of my husband. Anyway, that's a whole nother ball of wax. But because sometimes you need someone or something to reflect the truth back to you, which is why I'm here talking to you on my podcast, reflecting the truth back to you. So here's another fun fact. Women actually hit their true confidence peak between ages 60 and 70 if they stop living for everyone else earlier. So it's crazy. The highest confidence you have in yourself is going to be during your 60s and 70s. Your confidence is not dying, it's waiting. And you're like, can I have confidence in your 50s? You absolutely can if you decide to do that. See, my aunt, my dad's sister, is 90. She's 90 years old. She travels with my cousin and his wife to Europe, to China, all kinds of places, y'all. And I will tell you, one of my favorite documentaries, and one that my husband watches as well, is called Centenarians. I don't know the exact, you have to look it up. Look it up on ChatGPT. So go to ChatGPT and look up, hey, ChatGPT, what is a documentary that I was listening to a podcast about this morning where I can watch, it may be Netflix or something, I can watch about centenarians. Centenarians are people that live past 100 healthy. So it's all what you eat, what you do, people that move around and eat well are the healthiest people in the world. You're like, why do I want to live to 100? It's because normally, if you're normally in society, if you live to 100, a lot of the times we suffer from 80 to 100, right? Until we get there. These people don't, y'all. These people don't. They make their own vegetables. They grow their own fruits and vegetables. They raise their own cattle and all kinds of animals. They even drink wine. like every day. Even their kids drink wine. Why? It's not the Lambrusco cheap ass wine that you get at HEB with 50% sugar. This is good wine, good grapes, good growing process. Wine is really, really good for you. The dry, good wine, not the crappy wine, right? Not the $6 wine that you get at the local store. Centenarians. I challenge you to look up centenarians on ChatGPT, find out about them, and then go and watch it. It is amazing. Rick was like, oh my gosh, you got to keep moving. You got to keep moving and grooving and moving and grooving, and you got to eat right, and you got to take care of yourself, and you got to love yourself and be confident for yourself. You are amazing. You are an amazing person. You're an amazing midlife mama. You are amazing, but you got to treat yourself like you are. Lean in for this part. If you feel dim, if you feel lost, if you don't recognize who you become, if life has knocked the spark out of you, you are not done in life. You are not too old. You are not behind. You are not invisible, and you are not a burden to anybody, especially yourself. Your spark isn't gone. It's buried under years of you showing up for everyone else except for yourself and not taking a break. But sparks can be brushed off. Sparks can be revived. Sparks can become flames again. And I want you to know something. Confidence isn't loud. It's not perfect, and it's not a performance. It's the quiet, steady return of you. It's a homecoming of your soul. A remembering of who you were before life piled on so many expectations for you. So, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Truly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being with me here today on episode 7 of the Easy Peasy Life podcast. You choosing to be here today means you're choosing you. You're choosing health, growth, and your joy. You're choosing your comeback season. If you want to know, I love you and I appreciate you. I am cheering for you louder than you know. And I am so proud of the woman that you are becoming, the woman you are returning to after everything you've been through in your life. If this episode made you laugh, made you cry, made you reflect and whisper, that's me, Poppy, I feel the same way, or even a little more alive, please share it with another woman who deserves to feel seen and supported. Grab your free guide at easypeasyprompts.com and follow me everywhere at Life with Poppy Lee or Easy Peasy Prompts on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And join me live every Tuesday and Thursday. Until next time, you are beautiful and you are loved. Don't you forever forget that your spark is still there, your confidence is rising, and your heart is healing. Take time for yourself today, guys, and your story is far from over. So let's go.
Thank you for listening to the Easy Peasy Life podcast. If today's episode encouraged you, make sure to follow and subscribe so you never miss one. Don't forget to grab your free guide at easypeasyprompts.com/busywomen's-guide. It's perfect for busy women who want life to feel easier. And join me live every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. I'll see you on the next episode. Let's go.